Hi everyone, welcome once again. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what we call Terraform workflow. So, what is it actually? So, this is like a structured life cycle that you go through when you want to provision, you want to manage, or you update your Terraform, code. Okay, when you provision your resources. So, it's just like the life cycle or the steps that you need to follow you know, making sure that your resources are deployed nice and neat at all time. Okay, so what you will need, first of all, you go through the process of writing your code in your configuration file. I've done a separate video explaining, the concept of Terraform. Okay, so you first of all write your Terraform code in your configuration files using the configuration syntax, which is the HCL. Okay, once you done, you initialize. So you connect to the provider, which cloud provider you want to do. Okay, so you say Terraform init, so it will connect to the provider using the API. Okay, and again, what you will need to do, it will initialize the backend. So remember, the backend is meant for the configuration of the Terraform state. Okay, and then you can run, it's optional, so you can run validate. Okay, you validate the syntax, so basically you checking whether the syntax are right or correct, or it's up to what Terraform is expecting. Okay, and then again, if the validation fails, so you cannot really deploy. Okay, it will tell you there's a syntax issue, so you run validate on that. Okay, so once the validation is done, okay, you can, that's another optional which is not here, called format. So Terraform FMT, so this will format the syntax basically. If it's not aligned properly, it will align it. Okay, if they are not done in line with each other, basically it will make it nice and clean, nice and neat. You are formatting it. Okay, and the next one is plan. You can always run plan as many as you want, and what you're going to do is check in, the execution, what you actually want to deploy. It will tell you the steps, not the steps, I mean the resources you are actually going to deploy, and you actually have a look, and if you are happy, you go on with that. And then you can run finally apply. Okay, once the apply is done, your resources will be provisioning, okay, or will be updated, whatever you're doing. Okay, once it's done, remember the state or your current state will be updated in your what we call your Terraform state. Okay, you can run through command to manage your Terraform state. I'll do a separate video regarding state management. Okay, so let's quickly go to the console and let me run you through the flow, okay, the life cycle of Terraform. Okay, so let me quickly find my VS code. Um, where do I have it? Yeah, I have it here. Right. So here I've got this Terraform code, and basically what it's doing, first of all, you need to give your provider, okay? What provider do you wanna connect to? And what region do you wanna provision this resource? So the provider is AWS, and I want to go into the EU West 1 region, right? I have my Terraform backend, okay? This is my Terraform backend. I'm storing the Terraform state, okay, in S3 bucket called Salesforce POC, and I'm using a key. So basically, they will be the the actual object in the S3 bucket folder. Okay, it's like a folder within a folder, and in there I'm going to store my Terraform state. Okay, and I want to put it in this region. Okay, that is where the Salesforce bucket is sat. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is to create a resource. What resource am I going to create? So remember, I'm going to provision. This is a resource block. I'm using AWS, so this is the provider, and I'm using the resource itself is I am user. This name you can change it to whatever you want. Okay, that is a resource label, the block label. Okay, so all these are arguments. Again, I'll do a separate video and then I'll explain every syntax. We write the syntax from scratch and I'll show you where to get this information. So all these things are just arguments. Some of them are required, some of them are not. So this is a required. So we're not here to explain the syntax itself, but we're here to go through the flow. Okay, so what we need to do is make sure you have Terraform installed. Remember the flow, the first bit is you want to connect to the cloud provider you want to use. So which we know is AWS. So I'm going to say Terraform init. Okay. So I'm going to initialize the backend and then connect to the provider. That is what Terraform init does. Okay. So Terraform and I'll say initialize. So short form of initialize init. I'll go enter. Okay, watch what's doing. So it says initialize backend, successfully configured backend S3. So see our backend here. It successfully configured the backend. It checked the backend exists in the right region. Happy days. We're cooking on the gas. The rest is just connecting to the provider, plugin. It's connecting to the AWS provider. So let's give it, few seconds and it should be done. And it's done. So initialization has done. If you don't do it, it will not work. You need to connect to the provider, and then if you have a backend, connect to the backend. Okay, can you see here? Now we have what we call the lock. Okay, so Terraform will reuse the lock. Basically, the backend we have initialized, it will create a copy, so it will reuse this every now and then. Okay, if you have issues, you can delete this. It will create another one, basically. Right. So once we're done, the next stage, you can do, your validation, you can do your formatting. Okay, so for the format, let me just move this here quickly. Let's say this one, let's move this out of place. Let's make this a bit messy and then watch the format here. So we say Terraform FMT, so format. Oh, let me remove that one. So FMT, watch this. Can you see it just moved it back? Yeah, so we formatted it, so make sure the structure looks clean and neat. The next one is validate. It's just going to validate the syntax again. So we will say Terraform validate. Okay, so once you press enter, it's just gonna say successful or not successful. So give it a second and then say successful. Yeah, so the configuration is validated, it's valid in Terraform eyes. Okay, so now we can run our plan. So Terraform plan. Okay, let's plan this, enter. So it's just gonna give you, actually, let me move this up a bit so we can see. Okay, right. Okay, so it's giving you execution plan. So it's plan two things to add. Okay, nothing to change, zero to destroy. And it tells you so two to add. So one resource to add, this one will be created. The second resource will be created. Okay, and this is why we say Terraform is declarative. So we only provided the name, okay, and then the tag. The rest Terraform will add, okay, will add them. Okay, this makes it more declarative. The stuff that you don't actually physically give, but Terraform will give you. So it's going to infer. So this is the whole process. So we've done the plan. The next one is we are going to do Terraform apply. Yeah, so when you do apply, it's again going to execute the plan and ask you, are you sure you want to move forward? He's putting the onus on you. So if something goes wrong, you are the one to be blamed. So you say thumbs up, it's you accepting it to say, yeah, I want to apply that. So we go Terraform apply. Okay, it's gonna run a plan and then, are you sure you want to continue? You said yes. Okay, can you see run the plan again? And then here, Terraform will perform action described above. Only yes will be accepted to approve. Okay, if you're not happy, just say no or press any key. Okay, but only yes is going to provision this resource. So let's go for yes. Okay, It doesn't take long, and then resource has been provisioned. Okay, so we created users. Okay, so we can check them, two users. Okay, the name, that one, Lauren and Danny. Okay, so if I quickly log into my console, okay, and I go to IAM, okay, I go to users, okay, and then come on, right, so we got this user and that user. Okay, if you check those users, okay, uh, I think, yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is the date, nice and fresh. Okay, so again, this is it, this is how it works, this is the flow. Okay, if you want to change something, again, you can quickly, if you want to change the name, let's see when you change it. Okay, the name, say done, you run a plan, it's going to tell you. So let's do apply. The apply will run a plan again, and then it will tell you what's going to happen. Watch this. Because we are changing name, let's see. Right, okay, right, so the name is going to be changed to that. Can you see here now the plan? Zero to add, we are not adding anything fresh, we are only making changes. We want to change, we are not destroying anything. Okay, so if you are happy, you say yes. Okay, you go yes, and then enter. Okay, right, so what are we getting here? So updating user identity operation, update the response status code, blah, 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 AWS resource. Okay, we have a look. Username test modify, error updating Danny, operation error, request entity. All right, so we got the user already exists. So we had another user called Danny, which already exists. So let's add Danny B, something like that. Yeah, let's do it Danny B. B. Too many ends here. Let's remove one. Okay. All we need to do, we say Terraform. Okay. Apply. There we go. Enter. So there is a way you can auto approve this without Terraform asking you actually what. Okay. Yeah. Then the B. Let's go yes on this. Enter. Okay. And then that's it. So we can have a look again quickly. Refresh that. Let's go back in here. So there wasn't any Danny. So we have Danny B. Okay. Right. So in a nutshell, that is the whole Terraform flow. Okay, this is quite handy going forward. Okay, like I said, you initialize, you write your code, you initialize, you validate, you plan, you apply, and then your state management. Okay, I'll do a separate video on state management. I hope this helped. I will see you in our next video. Happy learning. Bye bye.